Welcome into Point Blank, brought to you by Fitz Roofing. I'm Jack Brame, joined by ESPN Houston's Joel Blank of the Press Box. If you like the channel, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Joel, is going to be Rockets today. Over the weekend, our own John Granato reported that the Raptors and the Celtics are frontrunners in the James Harden sweepstakes. The Raptors would offer a package centered around Pascal Siakam, and the Celtics a package centered around Jaylen Brown. The Raptors would probably send something like Norm Powell and picks, and the Celtics would probably include Marcus Smart. Let's start with this. Between the 26-year-old All-Star in Siakam and the 24-year-old former third overall pick in Jaylen Brown, who would you rather have on the Rockets?
There's no doubt in my mind, Jack, I'm going with the Celtics offer. I'm starting with Jaylen Brown. He's young. He's talented. He's played in the shadow of another superstar in the making in Jason Tatum, and he's proven that in the bubble last year in big games, he stepped up in big moments. He's looking for an opportunity to shine, and I'll take it a step further for you. In terms of the fit for the Rockets, though Siakam is an all-star player, and I don't have anything bad to say about him, you just signed Christian Wood for 3 years at $13.5 million a year, so you don't need those two guys playing the same position. If you added Jaylen Brown at small forward, to Christian Wood at power forward, to Boogie Cousins at center, to John Wall at point guard, and then whether you insert Eric Gordon, Daniel House, or whatever the case may be, especially if you can get a guy like Marcus Smart, that's just an even bigger win. I think the Rockets actually make themselves a pretty good team in the Western Conference and stay very much attractive in terms of playoff team that has a chance to possibly surprise some people if they stay healthy. That's why I think if that Celtics deal is on the table and I'm Rafael Stone and the Houston Rockets, that's the one I'm focused on, because that's the one I didn't see coming, where I thought that there was a chance to get good young value in return for James Harden. That's what I would be focused on most.
So let's dive into the James Harden bidding war that seems to be ramping up in the East. But first, how about a word from our video sponsor, Fitz Roofing?
Yeah, with the holidays upon us, guys, and then with the start of the new year, you want to start the year the right way. And there's only one place to do it. It's with Fitz Roofing. Whether you had a leaky roof or you're thinking about putting a new roof on your house or your business, there's only one place to call. It's Fitz Roofing, because they have the best ratings in the business, they use the best product, and they have the best warranties. You get a free no-obligation inspection today just by calling them. It costs you nothing. 832-521-3001. Seriously, if there's anything to do with your roof, you better call Fitz Roofing, because they're making a difference one home at a time.
So, Joel, if John's sources are correct and the Nets and Sixers just aren't putting up a satisfactory offer, does Harden to the Raptors or Celtics put whichever team gets him above those other Eastern contenders, especially now that Giannis Antetokounmpo looks to be staying in Milwaukee for the foreseeable future? How does that factor in?
I don't know if it puts him above the Bucks, but I think it can put them in the conversation, because here's the thing. We've talked about how stacked the West is. And so no matter what moves are made, the Rockets are still probably, if they're lucky, between 5 and 7 in the Western Conference this season with all the improvements that were made. In the East, aside from the Milwaukee Bucks, the Celtics probably would be a 2. The Raptors, ever since they lost Kawhi Leonard, are good, not great. So I think that, and Philadelphia has those 2 young stars that haven't been able to put it all together, even in a year when they had a really good roster a few years back with Jimmy Butler, JJ Redick, etc. So I think that from an Eastern Conference perspective, you're going to make the move for James Harden thinking that you legitimately, from the day you make the move, are a top 4 team and you have a fighting chance. And that's all you ask for in a lot of cases. So I think that whoever gets James Harden, if it's in the East and it's not the Milwaukee Bucks, they instantaneously feel like if they have any pieces at all around him, they've got a chance to compete for home court advantage and for a chance to take on the Milwaukee Bucks with a chance to do some big things. So they have to be able to and willing to take that chance.
Well, so clearly the Bucks are determined to build around Giannis for the foreseeable future. But with him he's no longer going to be entering free agency in 2021. Does that maybe some of those teams that were saving up cap space and looking forward to that offseason, does that make them look at it and say, well, we got to add something. How about James Harden?
Yeah, I really think that, Jack. I think that here's the thing. When you look at it from the perspective of 2 different factors. One, as you said, because of all the rumors that are out there, and if you don't believe Granato's sources with Boston and Toronto, we know that Philadelphia with Daryl Morey wants to get in. We've heard that he wants to go to Brooklyn, so there's probably conversations there. Milwaukee was in the mix, but now I don't think that's going to happen. I think that in itself, when you hear the new teams being entered into the discussions, whether true or false, it's going to heat up people to say, well, if we ever want a chance with James Harden, we better either up our offer or make an offer. So that'll elevate things by themselves, right? Then you bring in the factor of Giannis not on the market anymore next season. Miami was trying to clear everything so they could go after him in a year. Golden State was already trying to make inroads. So now you've got two other teams that might factor in as real players for James Harden because he is the next available big-time superstar that could help a team get over the hump. So I think that those two factors will stimulate a lot of extra discussions for Rafael Stone and the Rockets. Now it becomes a situation where you might not have had bargaining power before, but you might have a whole lot of bargaining power because you can use offer versus offer until you finally get to a place where you feel like if we're going to move on from him, this is a kind of deal I can accept.
The rumor has been that Daryl Morey is unwilling to offer Ben Simmons in a potential trade. In fact, he came out and said that. Is it possible the Rockets are putting this information out there to try and really ramp up that bidding war, especially from Philadelphia and Brooklyn?
Sure, it's absolutely possible because the game is played behind the scenes more times than not between agents that want information to leak out, players themselves want information to leak out, teams want information to leak out. A week ago, we were talking about Max Kellerman making just ludicrous statements that either help or hurt the team along the way. And I think the same could be said about this situation right here. But let's also not forget that the last time Daryl Morey made this adamant statement about not trading a player, he said, "We will not trade Chris Paul," and less than a week later, he was gone. So let's not believe everything that Daryl says either, but I think at the end of the day, especially because the rumors are swirling, the hot stove is heating up, and we're getting ready to start the regular season, teams are going to be more apt to try and make a quick move now and get it over with before the season starts and take the full season ride with whoever that they have on their roster, as opposed to what if Harden stays for the first couple months of the season with the Rockets? What if things go well? What if they're playing good basketball and then all of a sudden he's ripped out from under everyone in Houston and then traded? And that could screw up what otherwise might have been a very, very good season for the Rockets. So I think that's where you're sitting there with everybody thinking about, hey, the precipice to get a deal done is the season's about to start. Let's make sure that whoever we start the season with, we end the season with, instead of getting disjointed in the middle. And that's why it's all going to be real interesting in the next couple of days. Season starts on Tuesday, and the Rockets play on Wednesday, and it's going to be vital for a lot of teams that are trying to make that step up, that they try and get things done and compete with the Joneses, who are all making offers for James Harden.